All right, here we are. It is 11 o'clock Eastern time, and we are going live here from the bus. Went out this morning and fired up the diesel heater, so it would be sort of warm and toasty in here, and now we are ready to go. So I want to talk today. So the reason we're going live today is a couple of reasons. One, had a big storm last weekend and lost power 5 days. Couldn't get anything. Couldn't get anything going. Couldn't do work on the bus. You couldn't do work on the bus. Couldn't do video editing. Couldn't really do much of anything. So I figured, well, but I still wanted to reach out and contact, be in touch with you guys. So and also at the meantime, we had to go into school and access internet there a little bit, and saw several posts about people being completely overwhelmed by the whole sort of Skoolie process. And so I thought I can relate to that as well. So I figured, well, let's talk about that today. So I'm kind of curious too, what kind of frustrations you guys have out there if you're building? What gets you overwhelmed? What gets the stress levels up when you are, working out on these type of projects? Because they certainly can be overwhelming, and I want to make sure that we don't throw angle grinders through the window. So good to see Mark out there. Awesome. Thanks for joining us this morning. Actually, I know as a builder yourself, I'm sure we have those frustrations, and that 7/16 wrench always gets me. That and a 1/2 inch, I can never find it. So those things. So put those in the comments, and we'll kind of hit them as well. But so first thing I wanted to say, really hats off to a lot of you guys who don't have a ton of building experience, because I watch the videos. I'm amazed at the stuff that you guys do, thinking that I've got some building experience, and some people, some really good mentors have taught me. And so you guys are getting after it without a lot of experience and making great things. That's just incredible. I admire your gusto and your way to do it, because it certainly can be frustrating out there. And so it's incredible that you're able to do that. So, when I think about the times that I get frustrated working the bus, and I think it really comes down to, or boils down to, sort of managing those expectations. And I think that's sort of the biggest thing. And so one of the things I think is managing the expectation of time, because I don't know about you guys, but it seems like I always underestimate how much time it will take. I'm like, oh, this is a 45-minute project and it takes me 4 days. And I think that's an inevitable part of the process. In fact, just yesterday, I was building a console cabinet for the heater in the front right where the defrost is. And I had to reroute this wire, and I'm like, oh, that's the ground wire. Like, no big deal. I'll just use this hole that's already there. Well, the screws I had were too big, too small for the hole, so that the ground wire just wobbled around. I'm like, all right, well, I'll just drill a new one. So I had to walk down to the shop, which again, I can't drive the bus in the shop. Grabbed the drill bit, came back. That was too dull. Broke that one in a hurry. Oh, just went back, got another one, broke that one. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll use the bigger screw that I have, but then the connectors at the end of the wire, the circle connectors, were too small. So then I had to cut the wires, put new connectors on. And so, that project that I thought would take 5 minutes took half an hour. And I think that's just inevitable with almost anything. I'm sure we can always sort of anticipate that. So I think it's really important to put things in perspective. And then I think the other thing is imposing time limits on us when it really doesn't matter a whole lot. I remember last spring, I was anxious to, because of COVID, it didn't look like we were going to have a big rafting season at first. So I'm like, well, I'll go home and I'll work on the bus a little bit more. I have power. But then the phone kept ringing. People did want to come rafting, and they're like, can you work? And so then I started rushing. Like, oh, geez, I got to get this done, because I got to get up there to get work done. And the reality is, I would have been I could live comfortably in this bus no matter how it was. I just kind of needed to go and do it. But I think I put that stress on me, because I got I kind of wanted to show off the bus as much finished as it was, and be as comfortable as I could. But it really didn't matter. It really didn't matter. And I had to sort of put that back in perspective a little bit. So I would say, if at all possible, if you're on a time, try not to give yourself an artificial deadline for the bus. I cringe when I hear people say, oh, geez, I got to get this done by the end of the month because we're selling a house or a lease runs out. And I think you're putting yourself in a position where it just really is more stressful than it is. So whenever possible, try not to put those time infringements on you. And if you're looking for some time tips, I just posted something on my blog, eddie-line.com. Check that out, and you can get that for free. And that's sort of sets things up for you to save some time. And that's probably the most valuable resource we have. Hey, Mars, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. I got this kind of a foggy, rainy day here, but it's awesome to see you for breakfast here. So, first thing, manage time. And I think the next part of it is to monitor or just sort of to manage expectations of the process. It's going to be hard. There are going to be things that are going to be happening, and you can always kind of think about, well, be positive, Ted. Well, I'm positive something bad is going to happen. I'm going to make mistakes. I just know I am. Some of my really good friends who are great carpenters are constantly dealing with problems and dealing with mistakes. And Timmy tells me, hey, Ted, the difference between a good carpenter and a great carpenter is that the good carpenters or the great carpenters are the ones that know how to fix their mistakes. So just anticipate that that's going to happen. And it's not being a pessimist. It's just being an optimist, because I know bad things that happen, but I know I'm going to be able to fix them. Great book, Empire Falls, if any read it. And one of the main characters, Miles, is always worried about he's going to make some sort of critical mistakes. And at one point his dad says, "Don't be an idiot. You're going to be able to fix everything." So forge ahead. Know the things that are going to happen. And I think the more I think about this, think about it, it's not really a bus conversion. Really, it's a person conversion. The bus is converting you and your skills and making you better at your craft and better at problem solving and better at managing a project than you're doing to the bus. So think about that as a perspective. And I think the last thing about it is managing your expectations of perfection. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. There's a whole bunch of mistakes that we're going to make, and nobody notices them. And I think that one of the problems is that you kind of look at these buses online and look spectacular. And I was like, well, I think all the mistakes are covered up by like the can of lentils and the pillows and everything around there. You're not zooming in there to find every little type of flaw. And then when you're all done, it's kind of the same thing's going to happen. No one's going to notice. And the other thing is, I kind of like the mistakes to some degree. I know they bothered me at first, but then I look at the ones in the house that I built, and no one comes in and says, well, that cabinet door is a little out of square. Nobody notices, and except for me. And I look at that and I'm like, yeah, that cabinet wasn't my best, but this one over here, I really improved at this one. This one's pretty good. So it's I look at it as a way to sort of measure my development as a craftsman as I progress through. So they're really not that big of a deal. So I hope that's helpful. Again, as you're dealing with all those projects out there, remember time. Try not to get too hung up with time. Number two, know that there's going to be problems in the process. There always are, and it's part of it. Kind of own it and recognize that the bus is converting you as much as you're converting it. And the part of it is, don't be hard on yourself. We're not professionals out there. Not many of us. There are some bus professional converters out there, but for the most part, we're all DIY people doing the best we can and hopefully sort of enjoying the process. So really appreciate you joining me this morning. Again, I'm not going to sort of take up a ton of time, but I see a lot of people out there posting things that they feel overwhelmed. So I really hope that I can help them. So again, thanks for watching. Appreciate the support. Like, subscribe, do all those things that you do. Check out the blog at eddie-line.com. And again, until next time, I'll see you a little bit later. Here, I'm going to respond to some of these comments on here. Thanks so much. Oops, I can't type. Everyone, good, like that. And to Mark and Janet, some music people out there, did you check out the Perfect Pitch video? That kid's amazing. For all you musicians out there. Can't type. All right. Well, happy holidays, everyone. I just finished up a project on the console, so that will be coming up later on this week. And again, hopefully you enjoyed the live show. I certainly appreciate you guys being there. All right. Adios.